Joining us now, the new congressional candidate for the Republicans in the 5th District, Denver Riggleman. Denver pulling off a huge upset on Saturday at about 3:30 p.m., winning the Democratic nomination on the final ballot, defeating Cynthia Dunbar 19 votes to 18, a one-vote change, and snatching victory from the proverbial defeat. Many people thought that Cynthia on the final ballot was most likely going to be the winner, but Denver Riggleman emerges the winner, and he's going to go on to face off against Leslie Cockburn, the very well-funded, very formidable Democratic candidate in the 5th District. She's raised a ton of money, and as I said on Saturday, she's got the cannons on the hill, but she's never really met anybody like Denver. Now, he's coming down to moments, but one of the big things about the Denver victory is this could be a reshaping of the Republican Party in Virginia, because Denver Riggleman, a very different candidate. Like if I were to say to you right now, okay, joining me now is a candidate for Congress. This candidate for Congress who is joining me now is been fighting Dominion power and is opposed to big money in politics. Doesn't want to take donations from Dominion power or some of the big money interests. This candidate is pro-gay rights and pro-gay marriage. This candidate is pro-life. However, he does give exceptions for rape, incest, and age. This candidate has been fighting for property rights and is opposed to some of the pipelines going through your backyard. You would say, well, this must be some Democratic candidate from God knows where. No, it's the Republican, Denver Riggleman. So very different candidate, could be a reshaping. He is joining us now. Hey, Denver, good to have you with us.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you?
Never better. Hey, Denver, let me just start off. I've got a question here from one of my callers, Heather in Dumfries, and she said, can you please ask Denver, I missed the show on Saturday, can you please ask Denver, before you get into policy, what was going through your mind the moment they announced you were the victor? Like, what was the first thing that went through your head?
Was that my name they just called? Was what went through my head immediately is, John, you know, I was sitting back there, and you know me, just eating an apple, and, then came down to the side, and we were laughing, and I said, guys, just go ahead and get this done, and we'll see you there. I said, I think we lost this by one or two, and everybody said, are you worried? I said, no. I mean, I'm not a career politician. I have other things that I do, right? I support the Pentagon. I own a distillery. I do all kinds of neat things. I have a pretty busy career as a CEO of a cyber company also. And so when they announced my name, John, it was I was stunned. I kept thinking, be cool. Let me just be cool, That's what I was thinking when I was coming down there.
All right, be cool. And you were. And your victory speech was incredibly gracious. And I was very glad that yourself and Michael Del Rosso and Cynthia Dunbar all shook hands and committed to backing you as the winner in the 5th. That was a very, very warm scene, and with all the stuff that went on, that was really great. Denver, let's get to some policy, may we? Let's start with the president's trade policy. You know where I stand on it. Obviously, I'm a protectionist. The president on Friday saying he's going to end the extension, and we're going to go with his aluminum and steel trade tariffs. He also said he was not going to negate the tariffs on 1,300 identified China products. And he's also threatened Germany and the European Union with a 25% tariff on automobile imports, because we pay a 28% tariff when it's all said and done there. They pay 2.5%. If you're in Congress, are you going to support the president's trade policies?
Yeah, I mean, if the tariffs equal out, it's a matter of numbers. With me being a businessman, like Trump, he might be looking at, listen, if we equalize the tariffs, there's nothing that these other countries can say. And what I said before is you always want to see metrics. What are we looking at when we're talking about jobs in the United States? Are we going to lose jobs? Are we going to gain jobs? And do these tariffs equal out? It could be, as you know, he could be trying to negotiate, listen, If the tariffs equal out, that's just a fair thing to do. And if that's the case, I would support it. If it's not the case, where it looks like it costs jobs in the 5th District specifically, I'd have to fight to make sure that whatever policy is coming out of the administration, how that affects the 5th District. Every decision I make is based on the 5th District. So that's what I have to do. So my guess is right now, and I think you'll probably agree with me here, John, this is also a negotiating tactic to ensure that there's fairness on each side of the trade deals.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, look, part of what the president is doing is he really believes in this, and he's saying we've been getting screwed for a very long time, and we're going to end it, and he's looking for trade balance. You look at the China deal, $500 billion, that's with a B, annual trade deficit, Denver, with the Chinese. That means $500 billion of our cash is going to them more than Chinese money is coming into the United States. That is a lot of money. That's what the president is trying to fix. Okay, let's get to AUMF. Are you in favor, if you were in Congress today, are you in favor of having a new AUMF, an authorization for military force come to the floor of Congress, or not? And why? Or why not?
Well, I mean, so you're sort of getting into my wheelhouse now there, Mr. Frederick. Thank you. There's some things that I'm going to answer right now as far as an authorization for force based on the fact that where that authorization is going to. I have a very specific skill set. I know I just sound like Liam Neeson on Taken, right? Mm-hmm. I have a very specific skill set. So many times when I see that, I would immediately probably instinctively say yes. So I just wanted to let you know that's probably where I would go with that.
Okay, and when you look at
the only reason I can probably answer that question a little bit better, probably when I wrap my Pentagon work, which you know I'm calling you before I go in there. So it's something I would love to talk about at length here in a couple of weeks, if that's possible.
No worries. Leslie Cockburn, your opponent on the Democratic side, I would assume I haven't talked with her, but what the Democrats are saying is if they take control of Congress, they're going to repeal the Trump tax cut immediately and then look for ways to increase taxes. What do you think of that?
Well, that's something I'm going to go to war over. There is no way. That is somebody who has actually never created a job in a life. That is somebody who has no idea how manufacturing works. That is somebody who has absolutely no clue what the worth of a dollar is. And you know where I come from. You know, I've been very honest about it. I come from not a very well-off family. Everything I have, I've done myself, whether it's going into the military so I can get into college, working through college as a bouncer, and putting in doors for Heckinger, and then, you know, going on. I think what you see is that when you look at the value of a dollar for the middle class, you have to make these tax cuts permanent. I don't see any way around it. When you look at the economy right now, John, you see the numbers. Mm-hmm. There is no way to argue. There's no way to argue with it. If you come in there and say that, I am probably going to tear you limb from limb as far as intellectually on what you're doing to people. Probably shouldn't say that. I've been accused when I'm just having fun and saying a joke. Everybody thinks it's some kind of violence thing. But I'm going to come there and tell you that you really don't know what you're talking about. And that's just what's going to happen. And then I'm going to go exactly with numbers on how it affects people. And that's what I'm going to do.
I've got a question here from Stan in Virginia Beach. He says, ask Denver Riggleman, are you in favor of rules against foreign ownership of U.S. companies? For instance, the buy of a shipyard in New Orleans by the UAE, a shipyard in Los Angeles by China, AMC theaters by China, etc. Do you have a problem with that?
It depends. So there's some companies that I can't discuss that I have a very big problem with, and a lot of those could be from, you know, countries in Asia. I have to, and John, sometimes it is not me trying to get around any of these. There's some questions that are very difficult for me to answer because I can't speculate. But I can tell you this: there are countries that I am completely against doing anything inside the United States, and absolutely know why. I know down to the nitnoid why. Now, if it's one of the Five Eyes countries, what you call countries that are our allies, I have no problem with it. Even some second-tier countries, I have no problem with it. But if you're looking at countries that actually have any type of ties to criminal or terrorist activities, or that actually might have already done something to our infrastructure or might have already stolen secrets, those companies are absolutely, on my watch, will be forbidden, or I will strongly suggest that they be forbidden from investing into American companies.
I think you're spot on with that. Denver Riggleman, we're out of time. I know you're short on time today. I really appreciate your coming on. We look forward to having you on here, Denver, on a regular basis. Again, a great victory on Saturday, no question. One of the biggest upsets in this type of a situation I've ever seen, and really speaks to the effort you put into this. Denver Riggleman, the Republican nominee for Congress in the 5th District of Virginia. That is for the receipt of the retiring Tom Garrett, and he will be in a tough battle there against a very well-funded, very astute Democratic candidate who we hope to have on our show in the next day or so. Hey, Denver, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John, as always, and you take care, sir.